looks like we have a quorum, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, then I'll call the order of the Board of Health meeting for the 10th of December. The first thing on our minutes is the approval of minutes from the 19th of November. If anybody had any time to review or any comments or changes?
I have a question. I didn't find anything wrong with the minutes, but do we usually like under the motion, right, for the winter estates, do we usually either approve or not approve the plan? Did we used to do that, Melissa?
Yeah,
Because
so this was the one that the board did not approve, but I think I remember stating that unfortunately, if you don't approve it, then they're probably gonna come back in front of the Board of Health. So the whole thing is the definitive site plans, you need to either approve or deny, and in this case, the board denied it.
Okay.
So I did actually receive outreach from John Gloss as a side note, looking to come in front of the board in the January meeting to explain a little more, because I think it causes confusion for the planning board if they get a denial from the health department or the Board of Health rather, because then they want to make sure they're doing their due diligence without pushing applications forward. So I did let John know that he could be on our January agenda, so we will see that again.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify. Can I?
Any other? Oh, please.
Oh, no, I was going to ask if I can make a motion, even though I didn't attend that meeting.
So yes, you can. You can vote on meeting minutes even if you're not in attendance. You're really just making sure that everything on the paper makes sense and is correct. However, it's a personal preference and comfort level if you wish to do that.
Okay. Then in that case, I will make a motion in regards to the minutes for the November 19, 2024 meeting. The Board of Health approves the minutes as written.
Motion's been made. Do we hear a second?
I can second that.
Nice.
Great. And then we will vote. So we will start with Rachel
Aye.
and Stefan
Aye.
and Mona.
And I wasn't here, so right? I'm staying.
So, but you can
And
still
that-
say that you approve them.
Oh, okay. All right, then aye.
You get to have some fun. And I also will approve, so meeting minutes are approved as written, 400. Next on our agenda is body art regulation revision, discussion around. I believe, Melissa, there was part of the email was explaining a bit more, so I think we can go through that again if you wouldn't mind.
Yep. So this is kind of a preliminary discussion. Kind of something that was brought to our attention is saline as a method of tattoo removal. So what it is it's injecting saline in where the tattoo is, and the saline breaks up the pigment, and the pigment rises to the surface, and it almost creates like a scab scarring. And then when the scab goes away, then it lightens the tattoo. So it's used, so lasers are traditionally used for tattoo removal, and that's always been something that we've denied because it is registered, or it is under the purview of the medical license board through the state. But this was something that's not really on our radar. It seems to fall in a little bit of a gray area. So it's something that we reached out to a body art discussion group that we're in with about 60 other health agents, health directors in other communities throughout the state. Some were not aware of it. Some do have regulations prohibiting this unless it's done through a medical professional. Similar communities close to us, Mansfield and Norwood, both have prohibit this in their regulations. So and let me share my screen here. So sort of the narrative that we came up here that we would want to put into our regulations. This is kind of modeling that Mansfield, Norwood, and some of those other communities that do have this in their regulations. So it would be to kind of be similar to our surrounding communities, and making sure that these practices are done safely and by a medical doctor, or not at all if it's not done in a medical setting.
Right. So it's only medical doctors who are allowed to use laser, because that was my understanding, that usually like tattoo removal is only done by laser. But then I was surprised when Melissa sent the email saying that you could use saline solution to remove it. But regardless, like the complications, for the tattoo removal will still be there. Like you could still get like skin infection, allergic reaction, bleeding, hemorrhage, skin discoloration, and this feel like these issues, they cannot be handled by a body art technician. So
I would think that it's even more risky using saline than
Right.
laser. I mean,
Exactly.
like the point of infection is pretty high with that.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Sorry, does Walpole has regulations about piercings or body implants?
So yeah, so piercings is allowed, and that is part of our regulations. Obviously, you need to have the normal like certificates. It is regulated in our body art regulations. Something that we would be looking to add to this list, similar to what, like I said, the other communities have, would be where was it? Oh, three-dimensional body art, including beading, implantation. So what that is actually not necessarily piercing, but implanting like a plastic or metal under someone's skin. So that's something we'd be looking to prohibit as well with this regulation.
Okay, thank you.
And just something I didn't mention too. So we do want to put it out to our body art practitioners. So we are looking to. This is why it's kind of just a discussion today. And then we hope to get comments and feedback from some of our body art practitioners, just to be able to have that communication, that we really make that a point in our department to communicate with our permittees regularly.
Right.
I have another one for you. I have no idea what this is called, but what about the tattooing of like the eyes?
Yeah, so permanent makeup. So that's actually all of oh, sorry, the eye. Are you talking about like eyeliner or like the eyes themselves?
No, the eyeball.
The
thing.
eyeball, like the white eyes.
Like
Sorry,
injection.
I apologize for my misunderstanding. Yeah, so that's not something that's ever been on our radar before. That is something I can look into and maybe reach out to some of the contacts in the that discussion group and see if that's something they've come across. To my knowledge, that's not something that I've ever seen or has practiced.
I've seen it a couple times in person.
You have?
I can't imagine what that must feel like.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, it definitely is an industry that's always changing, and it's always something that they're coming up with new things, new ideas. So that's something we can look into.
A quick second. I just wanted to mention that if we ever do allow this kind of thing, it would be really important for us to research who else allows it in neighboring towns. Because if Walpole would be the first to allow this kind of thing, we might be the only ones within 100 miles that allow it. And then we'll be known for that. I'd be concerned that every like tattoo artist or whatever would come to Walpole to set up shop if we ever allowed that.
Yeah, so we did reach out to our discussion group for body art. It's about 60 or so other local communities, or in Massachusetts at least. Some of them kind of similar to us. It wasn't on their radar, so it's not directly prohibited in their regulations. And then some it is. So it kind of varies. Unfortunately, there's no model regulations from the state for body art, so it's up to each community to create their own regulations.
Right. Another concern, that I found, like when I was doing some readings in regards to that topic, it's in regards to the ink breaking down. They say that when the ink, when they try to remove the tattoo, the ink from the tattoo would break down and be processed through the liver. So the patient would end up with liver issues, like severe concerns. So that's I would definitely not allow a body art technician. It's beyond their
purview.
Yeah. So I'm personally, yeah, I would definitely approve the proposed regulation restrictions, so.
Is anyone going to speak in favor of this? Like against this prohibition? Because I'm definitely not.
Well, I
So
think
I think
the
we,
plan that Megan and Melissa were talking of doing was to make sure that the parties of our community who have this body art licensing is to definitely get them involved. And I completely agree. I think that's the best approach. Get their feedback at the interested parties, and then definitely have something on the 7th for in-depth conversation. I think at that point would be great.
yeah, I plan to reach out to all the body art practitioners, either, probably tomorrow, let them know that this is, that we're speaking about this, and then give them opportunity to provide comments and as well as the information for the meeting so that they could show up and speak.
I mean, is it possible for us to put it on the agenda for January? Because I think that we should get this in place sooner than later. Leaving it like open, I feel like there's too much room for interpretation. I think it's you've got it written well and you've taken it from the other towns. And I think the sooner we get something per se, the better off we'll be.
We have it on
Yeah,
the
I
agenda
think
for
Rachel, I
January.
think if we can plan to put it on the January 7th meeting, but like Megan said, she'll put the outreach out tomorrow and then we'll
Yeah.
give the license holders the week before our meeting, the cutoff to submit anything. And then that way we can push it off to the board if there is anyone, speaking differently of this or wanting you to have the other information. And then obviously we will welcome them to join our January 7th meeting. But unless someone else comes forward with complete different information, I think we could vote on the 7th. And then if, say, something came up where you weren't unsure of it, we would just push it to that 3rd meeting in January. But I feel pretty comfortable that I think we could possibly even vote on the 7th.
Definitely.
So what's the reason we cannot vote on this today? I mean,
I
we
think
have,
it's not
the,
voting today. It's mainly just letting the license holders know that we're making changes to the regulations since they currently hold a license based off of the current regulations. Again, like Megan said, no one has come forward to request this except for the one individual that hasn't even received a permit from our department yet. So I don't think it'd be an issue, but I think just best practice is letting the permit holders in town know that we are making this change and that they would have kind of this time frame to come forward and vocalize their thoughts on it. We are always looking to be educated in this field because this is a field that's pretty foreign to both of us, I know. So we've had a lot of great license and permit applicants that have really helped us through the process as we're reviewing it. So we want to give them that kind of mutual respect.
okay. So they have,
Same on, you also have the same ability
as of
to
today's
possibly
date.
get a little more detail from the current permit holders. They might have different wording, terminology, verbiage, or different types of activities that, it might be even more foreign to us that we might consider putting on here. So.
I see.
Hey, Megan, the actual name for what I was talking about is called scleral tattooing, and they utilize a needle to inject like a dye just underneath the top layer of the eye into the white part of the eye.
Oh my God.
Thank you for that information. I will follow up with that in between the next
My
meeting.
eyes
Okay?
water just hearing you say it. My gosh. Wow.
I know.
And things you never thought you would have to discuss during the Board of Health meeting, right? Thank you all very much. That's exactly the approach we want to take, is try to get as much information and try to get a full picture. So, all right. So in that case, we don't have to do anything other than put this on the 7th meeting. We won't make any kind of motions or anything to that effect at this point until we hear back from the permit holders and and other updates that we can add to it. So, seem okay?
Sounds
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Great. Anything else we had on the agenda or anything else coming up?
That's all that I had. So our next meeting will be January 7th. So again, I'll plan them to send out the packet the Wednesday or Thursday prior. So you'll have any comments that we've received by the permit holders by then, and then we'll plan to put that on our agenda for the 7th.
Sounds great. Anything else from anybody? Then
So the
I
next-
will,
The next meeting will be January, right?
January 7th.
Right.
Okay, I will make a motion for the Board of Health meeting to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
And then we'll vote. Stefan? Do you hear Stefan? Yes?
Aye.
And then we'll have Mona,
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
I also. So we will call the Board of Health meeting to an end on
Great.
the 10th. Thank you all.
We'll
Happy
see you all.
Happy New Year.
Happy.